I am not giving up when it comes to Kadena's native cryptocurrency called KDA, because I still believe that during this bull run, it could hypothetically go to the price of $25. And now, of course, nothing I say is financial advice nor a guarantee. But as of right now, a lot of people, when they think about layer 1 blockchains, they rarely think about Kadena. They often think about Ethereum, they think about Solana, and it's their choice. But the way I view it is that I'm looking for the next big thing. I'm not looking for the big thing. I'm looking for something that could very well, again, have amazing hypothetical gains. And I believe that could very well be KDA, because keep in mind, at the price of $25, that right there is over a 35x from here. Can Ethereum or Solana do over a 35x from here? I mean, come on, especially during this bull run, highly unrealistic, which is why I'm focused on Kadena. And I think Kadena is a very fantastic layer 1 blockchain again, even though it's often overlooked, because for instance, you take a look at blockchains like Algorand, Solana, Ethereum, right? Avalanche. People like to say that, oh, wow, they're so fast. But Kadena is also very fast. And now people also like to say that, Solana, Avalanche, Algorand, they're highly scalable. Well, so is Kadena. So in terms of that, it's not lacking. It has the amazing fundamental qualities that people often look for in a layer 1 blockchain. But again, because of the price chart, because of the sentiment, because of the community that may not be as big, people like to assume that it's KAKA, but its low price when it comes to KDA doesn't determine just how special Kadena is. Now, you also have to take this into consideration. In terms of its leadership, it's A+, because as you all know, without amazing leadership, a project isn't really going to go anywhere, really. You take a look at, when it comes to Kadena, it has that covered. One of its team members, aka part of their advisory team, is the co-inventor of blockchain. I mean, just let that sink in, right? The co-inventor of blockchain is part of Kadena. That's kind of insane to think about. And you can actually search this up. His name is Dr. Stuart Haber. No joke right there. Real deal individual. He's not going to attach himself to something that's caca or trash. So yeah, that's very fantastic. Also on top of that, Kadena founders are amazing. You take a look at Will Martino, Stuart Popejoy. They have an amazing resume. They both actually helped build, or helped develop, I should say, JP Morgan's first ever blockchain, otherwise now known as JPM Coin. And also more specifically, when it comes to JP Morgan, you take a look at Jamie Dimon. Everyone knows him pretty much. He calls JP Morgan Chase one of the biggest users of blockchain. So yeah, you got to think about that, right? When it comes to, again, Will Martino and Stuart Popejoy, quite essentially involved with JP Morgan back in the day, that says something about them. It showcases that they're not, random dudes that just want to make a project, let's say. That's not the case. I mean, come on, man. They're real deal individuals. And with that in mind, though, people like to complain and say that, oh, wow, when it comes to Kadena, the programming language used in Kadena smart contracts is too difficult to understand. Oh, it's so complicated, all this type of stuff. Well, what are they on about? I mean, first of all, they like to say that because of this, Kadena can't develop. But I completely disagree, because Pact, right, the programming language, again, used in Kadena smart contracts, I don't think it's difficult for a real deal developer. Let's say someone's like a programmer, developer, whatever the case may be. If it's their job to actually do this type of stuff, do you think it's going to be difficult for them? That's like going to LeBron James and saying, yeah, you shouldn't shoot, 3-pointers because, it's difficult, right? It doesn't really make it, in terms of the percentage. So yeah, just, shoot 2-pointers. It's fine. It's like, what? That's kind of crazy. That doesn't make any sense. That's like going to Lamar Jackson, in the Baltimore Ravens and saying, yeah, dude, throwing is difficult, just run. It's like, no, I mean, come on, he's a quarterback, right? You also take a look at LeBron James. He's an NBA player. That's what they're supposed to do. I mean, that's their occupation. So if someone, again, their job is to code, quite essentially program, whatever the case may be, do you think they're going to have a hard time understanding Pact? No, I mean, come on. It's their job, it's their duty, quite essentially, if they're hired for that. So I don't get why it would be difficult. So the people like to say that, oh, wow, Pact, it's going to hinder, Kadena's future. No, I disagree. I mean, for the average individual, probably like me, who doesn't know anything about, doing this type of stuff, then yeah, okay, maybe it's difficult. But this can be said about anything. It's like going to a random person on the street and saying, yeah, I bet you can't play ping pong at an Olympic level. Well, yeah, I mean, what is that about? Of course, they didn't train. You have to take that into consideration. Someone who's actually into this type of stuff knows what they're doing. I think Pact is easy peasy. So I don't think it's going to hinder Kadena whatsoever. I don't know why people keep saying that this is a major hindrance. I completely disagree. I think Kadena still has a bright future ahead. And you take a look at this, right? On its ecosystem, there's over 50 projects. So is that bad? No, I mean, that's really good, actually. Getting a developer to make a project on something, quite essentially, that requires a lot of trust. The developers actually have to believe in it. They actually have to, actually love the fundamentals. So I think that when people say, oh, no one likes Kadena, no, I disagree. I think a lot of people love Kadena. Again, over 50 projects on its ecosystem. That's really great. A lot of its competitors, they can't even get like over 10, over 25 in many cases already very impressive. So over 50 when it comes to Kadena, man, that's really a big thumbs up for me. And also you have to take this into consideration. When it comes to Kadena, I think it's well suited for enterprise adoption. Now, why do I say that? Because again, it's highly scalable. And also on top of that, it's lightning fast. And these are traits that not only the retail people care about, but also real deal massive enterprises, because they don't want to use something that's slow. They don't want to use something that's antiquated. They don't want that. They want to use something that's really amazing, and that's Kadena. And I think that oftentimes people ignore, the potential for enterprise adoption, but I think this is kind of a hypothetically big mistake, because you take a look back in history. What fostered the growth of the internet? It was enterprise adoption. Yeah, sure, the retail market helped somewhat, but real growth started to happen once real deal enterprises started adopting it. And I think it's no different when it comes to the world of blockchain technology. Granted, history doesn't always repeat itself, but it tends to rhyme. And I don't get why it wouldn't rhyme, because you take a look at enterprises, they have a lot of capital, they have a lot of resources, and they have the volume to allow for that type of growth. So I think that when it comes to Kadena, something that's fundamentally fantastic, primed for enterprise adoption, I don't see why it would do bad at all. But of course, it's a matter of time. It's really just a waiting game, because I can't just wave some magic wand and demand the price of KDA to pump like today or like 2 weeks ago, or whatever the case may be. That's not how it works. Typically, again, it takes some time. But this brings me to my point as to I am going to control things that are within my control. Like, for instance, what is that? Not giving up. My dedication, my belief, dollar cost averaging, anytime earned income, acquiring, holding, and just waiting. That's it. Because if I start focusing on what happens to the price like every 2 minutes, like 2 days or whatever, 2 weeks, I can potentially drive myself crazy, and I don't want that, which is why, again, I like to keep things simple and just do things that are within my control. And personally for me, I don't want to day trade. I don't want to use leverage. I don't want to swing trade, because that's just not my style. I view myself as a very practical individual, a simple guy, which is why I just dollar cost average. Again, I like to keep it simple that way. And KDA at the price of $25, some people are under this illusion that it's something so crazy, something so insane. But nah, I disagree, because if KDA were to go to that price, considering its current circulating supply, at that point, market cap would be around $7 billion. Again, keep in mind, this is over 35x from here. And a $7 billion market cap, really, in the grand scheme of things, is like so minuscule. You take a look at BNB at one point, reached over $100 billion in market cap. And I don't think it's as great as this. I mean, come on. Just last year, in 2023, according to Crypto.com research, slightly over 2% of the crypto hacks that happened actually occurred on the BNB smart chain ecosystem. So yeah, that's not that great. If BNB can reach over 100 billion, then why can't KDA at least go to around 7 billion? Also take this into consideration. We've seen Dogecoin reach over $80 billion in market cap. This isn't even 10% of that. Just think about that, right? You take a look at something like Shiba Inu. At one point, it reached around 40 billion. This isn't even 25% of that. So KDA, I think, at around a $7 billion market cap, that's like hypothetically easy peasy. I mean, that's like nowhere near, many of the projects that we've seen in the past that I think are nowhere near as good as a Kadena. So I think this is really a no-brainer for me when it comes to Kadena. I still believe in its future. And also, think about this, right? People really love, Ethereum. They say it's amazing. They say it's fantastic. But you have to consider how Ethereum, sky-high gas fees, it's arguably not even scalable. If an enterprise wants to select, a layer one blockchain, why would they choose Ethereum over Kadena? Now I get it, Ethereum, a lot of fans, a lot of hype, but they don't really care about that. I mean, if they're looking to adopt something that benefits their business, quite essentially affecting their livelihood, they're not going to base it off of fans on X, on Discord. They're not going to do that, man. They're actually going to have a team, doing due diligence, taking a look at the fundamental qualities. And I think Kadena just beats out Ethereum, even despite, again, Ethereum, a lot of fans, a lot of hype. I still think that Kadena is just a much better option for, enterprises to adopt. And let's say I want to build a project. Let's say I'm a developer. I would hands down choose Kadena over Ethereum. I mean, it's a no-brainer for me. I want something that's fast, something that's scalable. And that's exactly what Kadena is. Now, I understand that Ethereum does have some layer 2s, which eliminates all of this type of nonsense. But come on, man. I'd much rather just choose something that's already good in terms of its foundation, much like Kadena. So again, KDA at the price of $25, I don't think is crazy, especially when you consider how, as of right now, the Bitcoin ETF, the number of institutional investors and institutional adoption for Bitcoin is just through the roof. With that in mind, Bitcoin can't go to the price of $150,000 during this bull run. I think hypothetically it could. Now I get it, this year it did reach a new all-time high, had a big pullback, now it's having a pretty decent recovery, I would say. But it still has a ways to go because 150,000, again, that wouldn't surprise me. Now is it going to happen this year? I think highly unlikely. I think if anything, probably next year. But again, only time will tell. If it happens sooner, great, because if Bitcoin does reach that, I think it's only fair to assume that altcoins, much like KDA, they're going to go along with the ride. So, man, all I got to do is just stay patient. And why wouldn't I stay patient? There's over 600 million crypto owners as we speak. That's more than ever before in history, which is kind of insane. That's practically double the amount that we saw during the peak of the 2021 bull run. So again, right, with all those amazing factors combined with over 600 million crypto owners, according to Crypto.com research, could you imagine this altcoin season, the buying pressure, the buying volume, the tension is just going to be through the roof? Man, I really can't wait. With all those amazing factors, again, KDA at the price of $25 isn't so insane. And even historically speaking, this may not be that far away. Usually altcoins, as a worst case scenario, they've been known to peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event. Now, the Bitcoin halving event happened back in April, so around 18 months, again, a worst case scenario, historically speaking, that's around October of next year, basically near the end of 2025, but not so bad. I mean, if someone's been through like 2021 all the way up until right now, waiting another year feels like peanuts. But of course, it could happen sooner, which would be great. But if it happens a little bit later, then hey, more time for me to accumulate, so I don't mind, because KDA, during this bull run, reaching the price of $25 wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I greatly appreciate it. It's Malik the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.